All right, everyone. Welcome to this week's RBC Lunch and Learn series. I'm Jade. I'm the host of this Lunch and Learn series presented by the J. Herbert Smith Center. So this week we have joining us Michael Justason, assistant professor at McMaster University. Michael teaches courses in geotechnical engineering, engineering economics, communications, and senior design project courses. He is a graduate of McMaster in Civil Engineering and Management in 93 and Masters in Engineering in 95. Michael also graduated from Western University in 2010 with an EMBA and is currently a PhD candidate in the Department of Civil Engineering at McMaster, focusing on earthquake engineering. Michael worked for Bermingham Foundation Solutions, now Soletanche-Bachy Canada, for 18 years prior to his current position at McMaster. His areas of expertise include pile driving and deep foundations. Michael is active in several industry organizations and served as the 2014-15 president of the Pile Driving Contractors Association. He's traveled to over 40 countries and has worked on major civil engineering projects on 6 continents. As an engineering student, Michael worked for Jacques Whitford and Associates in his hometown of St. John, New Brunswick. So he's a New Brunswick-born educator. In 2019, Michael won the President's Award for Outstanding Contributions to Teaching and Learning, McMaster's highest honor for teaching and learning. And Michael has been using Lightboard for teaching his courses since 2016. So I'm going to bring Michael right onto the stage. There we are. Hey, Michael.
Thank you very much for that great introduction. That sounds really good. I better make this good.
So, you know what, Michael? I will give you the full stage and I'll let you have at it, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Jade.
No worries. Here we go.
Okay, the first thing I should do is probably thank Jade for his help over the last day or two. He was kind enough to let me come onto this platform to do a little bit of practice yesterday, and I appreciate that. I'd also like to thank Professor Shukla for inviting me to give this talk. I'm very excited to do so. And I'll give another shout out to my brother, Andy, who sort of made the connection. So I really appreciate that. So I don't know exactly what is happening these days at UNB, but I can tell you at McMaster, we have gone fully online, and we've committed to another semester of fully online starting in January. And from there on, who knows? And, you know, I really teach because I love teaching. And when the prospect of doing everything online was presented with me, I had a little bit of fear because I have taught online before. In fact, I think I've used just about every platform you can use for teaching online. And I was always missing the one thing that I guess I'm famous for in the classroom, and that is my ability to draw and to write on the blackboard or whiteboard or whatever you happen to have. So through some other experience that I had, I ended up developing this home solution that I like to kind of call my virtual classroom. And I'm standing behind a piece of glass. In fact, this is a piece of plexiglass, and it's just simply positioned between myself and the webcam, and it allows me to write, and we call it the Lightboard. And students really love it because it gives me back that teaching skill that's really missing from a lot of the other platforms. I've used tablets, and you can do an okay job with a tablet. Voice over PowerPoint was something I really wanted to try to avoid as much as possible. And I had some experience already with the Lightboard. I don't know if they have one at UNB, but at McMaster, we set up a studio a number of years ago where instructors could go and record content for their courses. And we were in the process of doing some conversion to online for some of our courses. And I was involved in the conversion of our engineering economics course to an online course. And through that, I was actually able to record a bunch of videos. So this is one of my Lightboard videos from 2016. I made almost 40 of them, and I use them as sort of supplementary content for my regular in-person class. But now that we're fully online, these videos have come in handy. But not only that, I also created a home studio where I can recreate the look and feel of these professional studio recordings in the comfort of my own home. I should answer one of the obvious questions at the beginning, and that is, when people see me writing on the glass, they say, are you writing backwards? Are you left-handed? I'm not. I'm actually right-handed, and I'm using software to simply flip the image, and it's really quite easy to do. The other thing I'll say is, I think most instructors these days have a little bit of a feeling of being overwhelmed with suggestions of how to teach their classes online. And I'm really no different. I'm bombarded every day almost with emails for training in this or that platform. And I think to a large extent, people have kind of tuned out. I wanted to stress the fact that the Lightboard is not actually another platform. It's just your webcam. And in that sense, it is an extremely low-tech solution to online teaching. So if you look at platforms like Zoom or Teams or YouTube Live, any of these things that people are using for teaching online, really you can instantly convert them into this format. It's really just your webcam view in any of those platforms. And I think what's really missing from those platforms is the ground up design for teaching. All of those other platforms, in my opinion, are designed for meetings. They're not designed for teaching classes. And what I'm trying to do is convert those platforms into an actual platform for teaching. And I'll give you a little bit of a preview, maybe. I'll talk about some of this in a little bit more detail. But for my geotech course, I'm able to combine myself in the Lightboard together with my course content. And this is a PowerPoint slide. And I'll tell you how I sort of brought it here into the Lightboard with me in a moment. But the really cool thing is that, I can actually write on my slide. And in some instances, I've actually found it easier to explain concepts on the Lightboard over, in a virtual classroom than actually in the classroom itself. In more complicated diagrams, sometimes you find yourself pointing with a laser pointer at a slide on a screen. And now I can actually, I can step right into my own course content. And I can do other cool things too. This is also for my geotech course. We talk about, different, particle shapes for aggregates. And I can do cool stuff like this where I can bring these in, and I can, if I wanted to talk, in particular about this, I can point to it. I can, it almost looks like I can grab these. It's just kind of cool, and the students really respond to it. Before I forget, the other great thing about the Lightboard is that my students feel like I'm talking to them. So even when I'm teaching, I'm still maintaining eye contact with them through the camera. I'm not turning my back on them. My own image doesn't go away and a PowerPoint slide comes up. It's still me. And in the introduction, Jade mentioned I teach some communications, and everyone knows that some ridiculously high percentage of communication is nonverbal. So for nonverbal communication, the Lightboard is the way to go. And my students really do tell me that they feel much more connected than they would if I was doing something like voice over PowerPoint or using a tablet. So those are some of the things that I can do. Another thing I can do, if I have a spreadsheet, I was showing my students how to use a spreadsheet to calculate mortgage payments. I should also mention I'm just erasing with a paper towel. Pretty easy to do. But here I am. I'm in Excel. So if you do coding, or if you're using other types of software that you want to show students, rather than share your screen with that platform, you can put yourself right inside the view. And for people who are wondering how I'm doing this, I'm actually using another software. It's not a meeting platform software. It's a YouTuber and gamer software called OBS Studio, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. But yeah, this is a live spreadsheet. So if I want to, I can come in here and I can change the numbers. I can enter formulas. I can do that. And imagine if you're teaching coding, it would be nice sometimes to be able to go right inside your code and explain things to your students. This is really the beauty of OBS Studio. And then when you combine it with the Lightboard, it allows you to do things like this, where I can actually directly interact with the spreadsheet. I'm inside it. I can write on it, and I can still use it. So for me, I think this is it's pretty hard to beat. So I'll show you a couple more things. I guess most people by this point are wondering sort of how I'm doing this. And I mean, it's a very good question. I will show you what my home studio looks like. This is it. I am actually set up in what is now a spare bedroom, because both of my sons have gone off to university now, and I've turned one room into my home office, and I've turned the other room into my Lightboard studio. And I teach all of my classes from this room. I am standing right here. Okay, and I've just got a black sheet on the wall behind me. This is the wall. You can probably hear that. So I'm between the glass and the wall, and I'm standing behind that desk. And on the desk, you can see the Lightboard. And I have a laptop in front of me. The laptop is plugged into an additional monitor. So that just is helpful for me if I have something like a spreadsheet and Zoom open at the same time. I can sort of manage more things with two monitors. And then the Lightboard is really just that thing that looks like a window sitting on top of the desk. And by the way, it's also it's one of those adjustable height sit stand desks. So my wife also does online workshops now. She used to do in-person workshops, and she likes to use the Lightboard sometimes. And the adjustable height desk is great, because if she comes in, I can lower the height of the Lightboard just so that it's the right height for her, and then just lower the webcam a little bit. The webcam, you can see it off in the distance on a tripod. That's just the view from behind the webcam side. Maybe you can see a little bit in the background. I've got a black backdrop, which is my preferred look, but you can just see it peeking out. I do also have a green sheet, and it is also possible for me to do green screen content together with the Lightboard. And I've done a couple of those for McMaster open houses, where we're trying to lure high school students to come to McMaster. Well, I've done some kind of fancy production green screen stuff together with the Lightboard. I think it mostly impresses parents, to be honest, in terms of the incoming high school students. But if you're wondering about dimensions, I know that we probably have mostly an engineering audience, so you're probably okay with diagrams. And I can just quickly tell you some of the equipment I'm using and how much space it takes up. So and I might as well just use the Lightboard to draw. But if you start sort of with the webcam, and the webcam is sitting on a tripod. I'll just draw sort of a tripod like this. And my webcam is really nothing special. It's a Logitech C920. And it's just more or less a regular HD webcam. I had actually purchased it before COVID. I bought it a couple of years ago because my desktop machine in my office didn't have a built-in webcam. So to do Skype calls at the time, I was using Skype, and I needed a webcam for my office. So I bought this. It was $99 at the time. Of course, now they go for much more on Amazon, but the proper price of this webcam is $99. And that's just on a regular tripod. And then the desk, this is a plan view. So like I said, if there's engineers on here, you're probably comfortable with diagrams. The next thing I will draw is the desk. So the desk that you saw in the picture kind of looks like that. And then the light board sits on the desk. All right, so that's the light board. And the distance from the webcam to the light board is probably about 3 feet or just under a meter, let's say, if you're metric. And then I stand. So I stand right here. So this is me writing on the board, and then the wall is immediately behind me. And I think the distance from the light board to the wall is approximately another 3 feet. This is not quite to scale. And then you need about 7 feet of wall space, and that's just with the angle of the camera. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I have a light on either side, so I have these fairly bright LCD lights that I use to illuminate myself, and they're just on either side of me. And then really just some playing around with the camera settings. I can decrease the brightness enough to actually make my background kind of completely disappear, and it gives it that expensive studio kind of feel. But as you can see from the photos, it's not really an expensive studio. But anyway, that's my basic setup. I am today also using a USB microphone. So I found that sometimes the sound quality from the built-in laptop mic is not as good as it could be. It's still okay. And the way the light board is designed, there's a little bit of a gap under the glass, so that you can pull your laptop close to you and open it, and you can actually use the microphone that's built into your laptop if you want to. I'm using a blue Nano Yeti Nano is my USB microphone, and it's only about $140 bucks. So this whole package that I'm using today, excluding the camera and microphone and the laptop computer, which most people already have, the whole package is something that we've now put together and created a startup company, and we're actually selling these packages. We're really selling them kind of as cheaply as we possibly can to get other people up and running and teaching in this way. And so far, we've got close to 30 instructors at McMaster University, and then our local community college, and then also at a couple of engineering firms. So yeah, we have close to about 30 people using light boards. About half are light boards of this exact type that have been set up in people's homes, and then the other half are light boards that have been purchased by departments and then, let's say, set up in a small meeting room where obviously there's not really many meetings going on anymore. So if you're interested, I'll just put a little commercial plug in here. So this is the name of the company that we started. It's called Lightboard Depot, and it's actually run by a former student, a graduate of our entrepreneurship program. I think we have a program somewhat similar to what is at the University of New Brunswick. If you go on our website and you look at our School of Engineering Practice and Technology, which is inside the Faculty of Engineering at McMaster, we actually offer a master's in entrepreneurship, and I think it is something that's quite similar to what I see now at the University of New Brunswick. Our Lightboard Depot is also sort of part of our startup incubator. I was one of the founders together with two others, but really I don't get involved in the day-to-day. I'm really just kind of the front man for it, and for me, because I've been using the light boards since back in 2016, this has been sort of a natural extension of how I want to teach. But quite honestly, if we didn't create this company, there wouldn't really have been a way to produce and supply light boards to folks. There are some do-it-yourselfers who've made their own, but I can tell you from my own experience, and I've done that. I've gone through a number of iterations sort of in my home that I've created myself. Where we ended up now is actually kind of where I think I feel pretty good about it. So if you are a do-it-yourselfer and you want to give it a try yourself, you could, or you could probably save yourself a lot of trouble and just sort of pick up where we've sort of ended off now. So the system I'm using today is about it's $1,895, so $1,895, which I think is pretty reasonable. I tell most faculty members, take whatever money you were going to use to travel to a conference and use it to buy a light board, and you can drastically improve the quality of your online course delivery. So I also said I would say something about this software called OBS Studio, and OBS Studio is, I'll show you an image of it. It's something that YouTubers and gamers use to sort of share their screens. And I'm sorry, I just have so many scenes in here. I'm just looking for my my OBS. Here we are. This is I've actually made a few instructional videos, and we've uploaded them to the Lightboard Depot website, where you can watch the videos, and they'll help you get started in using the Lightboard and OBS Studio. And like I said before, this is all stuff that runs. You can still use whatever platform you're already using for online meetings. So if you're using Teams or Zoom or whatever it is, or like today, we're using StreamYard. I could teach my classes over this platform. And OBS Studio is pretty cool because it takes your webcam image and allows you to combine other things together with your webcam image. And then it tricks your computer into thinking that you have another webcam plugged in. It's called a virtual webcam. And that virtual webcam image has all of the stuff that you've put together and combined. So when you go into Zoom or Teams and you select your camera, you just select OBS as the camera, and there you go. And then you're in whatever platform you want. So if you're in Skype or on YouTube or YouTube Live or Teams or Zoom or whatever, you've just converted your webcam view into a tool for teaching. But this is the interface. This is what I see. So when I'm teaching, I see this screen, and then I can just, in this list right here, I set up all these different so-called scenes, and I can set transitions and things like that too. So this is a scene, and I just click on it, and this slide comes up. Or if I want to teach a class, this is my engineering economics class. So instead of voice over PowerPoint, I bring my PowerPoint slides into OBS like this, and I can interact with them. And I can speak to the slides. I can write on them if I want to. And then I can also just scroll through slide by slide. So I might have 50 slides in this slide deck. But for things like this, I want the students to work on a problem, or I want to demonstrate the solution of a problem in a class. I've got the question. I've got lots of room where I can write out the solution. All of my classes are recorded and posted on a video streaming server we have here at McMaster that's made for that purpose. So all my students can go back and watch all of my classes again and again. I already had that for my recorded content starting back in 2016. And as an experiment, I actually took that content. After COVID, I thought, there's probably a lot of students in a lot of different places wanting to learn more about engineering economics. So I took all my engineering economics slides and actually put them on a YouTube channel. All right. So if you wanted to check out engineering economics guy, this is my my YouTube channel, and I probably have close to 50 videos. I'm combining some some segments of my live class that I'm teaching to my students. I'm taking those segments and I'm actually also putting them on YouTube. But for my students, I don't tell my students to go to the YouTube channel. I have everything contained within sort of within our LMS. We use a D2L product for our learning management system, so I make it a little bit easier for my students to get my videos. But with the YouTube channel, anyone in the world can log in, and I've just kind of left it. I don't advertise it. I don't get revenue from it. And I think as of this morning, I was up to something like 380 subscribers. So it's not bad. We'll see how many I can attract. So anyway, I didn't really want to go through too much detail, and I think at this point it's likely that a lot of people have comments or questions. I would ask maybe I should stop. Jade, I want to say thanks for that little YouTube overlay that you popped up there. It's nice that you're listening. It's nice that someone's listening. But so we're open to questions, and I have other slides too, and maybe some of them will come up throughout questions. But yeah, if you wanted to ask me anything right now, that's fine. I sometimes go to a close-up view for this type of interaction. But yeah, is there any questions anyone would like to ask? Let me just have a look here in the chats. Yeah, so I believe in the comments. So in the comments section, you can type any questions that you might have, and and I'd be happy to answer them. One of the things I do when I teach classes, I use Zoom, and if you go into Zoom, it's actually in the accessibility options. You can increase the font size, and I increase the font size of the chat window, and I actually have my students interact with me through the chat. So it just sort of it's sort of just an easier way to manage an online class is to not have everyone talking at the same time. So I ask them to use the chat. And I do have a question.
So it says here, when you have your slides up, are they transparent, or just, I think it's supposed to say black screen? So when you had yourself up there, you would be interacting with your content, it appears. So it looks like they're asking if that's how it works.
Yeah. So I did promise to explain how to do that, and I didn't do that. I'm sorry about that. So essentially, this is a PowerPoint slide, and what I do is I change the color of the PowerPoint slide so it's white on black instead of black on white or whatever, just so that I have a black background. And then in the OBS Studio program, I import these as images and apply something called a color key filter, which, if you've seen how they make movies with green screen, same kind of thing. Like you can, with software, you can remove all that green. I find that in this particular software, and for my purposes, it works better when I remove black. So really, this is an OBS Studio wonderful trick where I'm essentially removing all the black. If let me see. This is a sample video from one of my classes, and I've applied the filter here so that I can, so this video of me teaching class is actually in front of my webcam view, but because I've removed the black, you can actually kind of see that I can sort of, that's a little bit strange, but basically that's, for me, the technique that I've developed is to just remove the black, just like people would remove the green from a green screen. And in that sense, I can make all of my slides transparent. And for my classes, again, I didn't want to make all new content for my online class. I wanted to use what I already had, and this is, I just go into my PowerPoint and change the color. So yeah. So there's a question also about student interaction with the setup. And if you wanted to have a look at what an actual interactive session looks like in my class, on my YouTube channel, there's a few videos of, and I think it's under the playlist, segments from my live classes, where, and I have some fairly large classes. And what I do again is I turn off everyone's microphones and video cameras, but I make the chat window very large and prominent, sort of on my heads up monitor. And when students ask questions, they type it in the chat, and then I, on the fly, will answer the questions. And it's pretty good. I mean, it's just about as good as the in class. Someone raises their hand to ask a question, well, people just type it in the chat. Some students will ask the question in private chat to me, and that's totally fine. If I can ignore it or answer it. Some students will just ask the question so everyone can see the question, and really it seems to work very well. In fact, I've had good feedback from students who say that they're more willing to actually type, especially a private chat to me, if they have a question during class, than they would be to raise their hand in an actual classroom. So I look back sometimes at the transcript of the chat for the class, and there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of text. So yeah, if you wanted to see what the interaction actually looks like, you can have a look at some of those recorded sessions on my YouTube channel. The other thing that I do, because I use Zoom, and just because I'm using my slides and the Lightboard and OBS, doesn't mean I can't also use the other features of Zoom if I want to. And one of the ones that I use all the time is actually the breakout rooms. So the Zoom breakout rooms have a nice little feature where you can send a file to the students who are watching. So I will sometimes have a problem statement just set up as a small PDF file. And then during class, I send the students the file, and then I put them into breakout rooms where the students can then turn on their cameras, turn on their microphones, talk to each other. They have the problem that I just sent them in the PDF file. They can work on the problem together. And then when I bring them back into the virtual classroom with me, I go over the solution to the problem. I answer any questions that people would have. So the students have the ability to interact with each other through the Zoom breakout rooms, which is actually a pretty nice feature. So yeah.
So Mike,
Yeah.
I'm one of those gamer YouTube-y type people, and I know that OBS has quite the learning curve. Would you have any suggestions for people looking to start right now with OBS and how to kind of get that started? Because again,
Yeah.
I know with my own sort of experiences with it, it's been quite a curve, but once you get over a lot of that stuff, it becomes a lot easier, and like iterating and innovating with it becomes a lot easier as well. So
Yeah.
I was just looking what your top tips are with that.
So really, OBS Studio is an extremely powerful platform. And I think when people first open, oh, by the way, it's totally free, right? It's free, open source. I don't know I think I might have neglected to mention that, but yeah, that was the appeal for me. I was looking for free software that would flip my image, and then I fell into this wonderful thing called OBS Studio, and it will do just about anything you want. But to do what I'm doing today, you really only need a few tricks. So so what I have done, I think I have 3 or 4 instructional videos, and they're on lightboarddepot.com website under support and resources. And you can see my videos about how to get started using OBS together with the Lightboard. The first thing being, just flipping your image. And then the next thing being, okay, how do I import my PowerPoint slides into the Lightboard in OBS? And I cover those topics. I also cover some tips on how to change the color in your PowerPoint slides and export and save the PowerPoints as image files. So in a matter of probably 3 or 4 5 to 10 minute videos, you can learn everything you need to learn about how to do exactly what I'm doing here. You don't need to do all the fancy stuff in OBS. You really just need the very, very basics. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I've put a lot of time into it, and I'm still learning a lot of things about OBS. And the more you use it, of course, the easier it becomes. But just getting people over that initial hurdle, I think my little getting started videos would probably be a good place to start.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I recently, for one of my geotech classes, I was using, I was drawing something called a flow net and explaining a flow net, and it was really fun and instructive to do it on the light board. And I think I explained it better on the light board than I ever did in class. So I'm just reading this other question. I've just had some visual challenges that are age related. Pardon me. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thanks very much. That makes it much easier to read.
I'm helping out where I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So how I recommend other educators, take the leap and get students more engaged. Well, I think the challenge with engagement is really something that we engineers are not very good at understanding or recognizing, and that is personal connection. And I think doing whatever you can to keep you in view with your students, to create that feel like hopefully today it feels like I'm talking to you because I'm looking at you. And I think students need that feeling. I don't know if other people have experienced this, but sometimes, I've had students say they want to come to my office to talk to me, and I think they have a question about something, and students come in and sit in my office, and in my engineering mind, I'm thinking, okay, what is your question? What is your problem? And really the student just came to try to build some type of a relationship with me. And after 10 or 15 minutes, they say, oh, thank you very much. And they leave. And I think, what just happened? Well, what just happened was that the student needed to feel connected to the instructor in order to trust them, to learn from them. And that's something that, we really don't recognize very much at all in education. And it's the thing that really is the most difficult when you move online. And I can say this from my own experience. If there's something I don't know or don't understand, I go to YouTube. And I find content, but the content on YouTube might be wrong. It's not organized the way that I organize my course. Maybe whatever the student is watching is even not the way I want them to learn it. So it's important for us as educators, I think, to make sure that we are the primary guide for the students through the content of the course. And if you're not doing a good enough job sort of in your online teaching, students will just go to YouTube. They will just go and learn it from someone who's explaining it in a way that appeals to them more. But really, I think it's this nonverbal communication. It's the idea of staying connected to the students. And so far, for me, this platform and the Lightboard has really been good. I had another thing I had forgotten I was going to show you. Some people will always ask, Mike, in the classroom, I like to write on the board, but I have 4 chalkboards, or I have 4, boards that I like to just fill up with stuff. What if someone asks a question about something that you already posted and now you've erased it? And I thought, oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good question. And I've even thought about adding additional light boards where if I had another webcam, I could just sort of walk over here and I could walk into the next view of a blank light board, and I could have 2 boards. But I can also do it with OBS. So part of the reason secretly why I drew that image on the board was so that I could show you that I can bring it back. So it takes me a 1 minute here. But I just go back, and what I had done was take a screenshot. So I took a screenshot of what I had written on the board. Okay. And then I can bring it back. So there's me. I'm sort of in motion there. But and then also you can't see me now live because it looks like just a second. I'm still here. Okay, just so you know, things didn't freeze up. But what I can do in OBS is I can come in here and I can apply. I'll show you the filter. I can apply the color key filter like this. And what I do is I go in, I select the color black, and I remove the color black from this scene. And now what I had on the light board is back again. And if I wanted to, I should have done a better job sort of getting out of the way when I did the screenshot. But if you took a shot in class, this is really what you can do. You can bring this back, and if I want to, I can come up here. Oh, I forgot. I forgot to write. To draw something here, and I can come back and I can add it to what I had written on the board before. Which, the magic of OBS is that I can take a screenshot, I can go find that image, apply the filter that removes the black, and now what I had written on the light board before is back again. So I think that's pretty cool. And the other thing too is it's easier to erase the second time. But if you teach a class where you have where you're drawing a lot of graphs or something like that, remember some of the classrooms that used to have a blackboard with part one section that was a graph paper like on the board. Well, you could do that. You can have an image that is a graph paper, and then you can draw and then just draw your graph, and then erase your graph or take a screenshot, and then you can use that as a blank canvas again and again. So anyway, I'm glad I didn't forget to show that little trick. Are there any other questions out there, Jade? I've got a monitor that's right up in front of me, and unfortunately, the font size on the chat is just a little bit too small for me to read effectively. But I'm happy to answer any other questions.
I actually had one myself again because I was kind of thinking about it. You mentioned a second ago about how you YouTube things if you had an issue or something that you wanted to learn, and that sometimes that content's correct, sometimes that content isn't, right?
Yes.
But I'm also starting to think a lot about another point that you said earlier about how a lot of professors or educators right now, especially at the world we're living in right now, are using voiceover PowerPoints and other sort of situations like that. Now, do you see any problems with how that might affect people's learning in this YouTube age that we find ourselves in? Or how do you think that might affect the on-demand sort of learning that we have right now? Thinking of places like YouTube or Khan Academy or Udemy or any of these places as well. I'm just looking for some thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, that for me, I'll tell you what, you sound like a plant in the audience to ask me that question, because really that's kind of what I'm all about. In fact, I did a talk at McMaster where I quoted Marshall McLuhan, one of the few well-known Canadian philosophers, where he has that famous phrase, "The medium is the message." And for me, the message right now is on-demand video content. That is the message. And when I remember when I first saw Khan Academy, I thought, wow, this guy Sal Khan, he's my new hero, because what he's done is he's created decent quality content, and he's organized it for people, and he's made it free. And ultimately, I think everyone in education has to think about, what is the long-term model of education? Pretty soon we're going to have, Elon Musk's Starlink network up there, and everyone in the world should have access, hopefully, to affordable internet. And really, I think on-demand video is the future of education. So, that's why I set up a YouTube channel. I've been saying it since I started making lightboard videos, every time I walk around campus and I see us building a building, I would say to my friends, I'd say, we should stop building the bricks and mortar. If we're going to do bricks and mortar, they should be broadcast and recording studios, because for me, I think really that's the future of education. The problem is that most people who work in education didn't sign up for that. And I think that's kind of where we are right now. I'm pretty excited about the Lightboard and OBS Studio. I love connecting with my students through drawing. I love being able to sort of take a break from my slides and come out and just explain, a problem, just like I would in a class. I love being able to do that. But a lot of people are not willing to get over that hump, to take their own teaching into this, on-demand video content world. And, I think that people are going to be left behind. Educational institutions and individuals will be left behind if they don't sort of get on board with this, with this new medium, this new message. I see your question. How do you, well, like anything, it's just baby steps. And if you're already teaching in WebEx or Zoom or Teams or whatever it is, it's actually not that big of a deal to just stick a piece of glass between you and your webcam. And now all of a sudden, your students will say, wow, look what you did. That's pretty cool. You don't have to do all the OBS stuff. You can just use the Lightboard. I have a colleague of mine. He's in the office next to me, and he teaches our strength of materials class. He's famous for having a 46% class average. Like, he just kills the students. And he was using his Surface and notes, and he was writing on his Surface. That's how he was doing his online. I converted him to the Lightboard, and he said now there's no way his students would ever let him go back. But I've seen the recordings of his class, and he has got the Lightboard just full of stuff. There's two professors in our physics department over in the science faculty, and it's the same thing. I've seen their videos, and they just fill it, but they don't use OBS. So our strength of materials guy also doesn't use OBS. That was just maybe next term or next year he may feel comfortable to add that to his routine. But for now, it was just entry level, pure Lightboard. Students love it. Get the face-to-face contact, and like he says, the students would never let him go back. So I like getting feedback like that too. And the other thing too, the intent of this wasn't really to ever start a company so we would get rich. Was not that at all. In fact, initially what I had done was I'd gone to the faculty, and we had, this is back in March and April, and the faculty was willing to give us funds to hire a couple of engineering students to build Lightboards for faculty members that wanted to use them. And then we couldn't get access to the university. We couldn't go in the building. We couldn't do anything. And through luck, I met another faculty member who was part of another startup company, and they had a small shop. And he said, look, he said he wanted one of these things too. And he said, how do you feel about starting a company? And then you can just use the shop space of our other company and build the Lightboards. And now, that shop is building more Lightboards than the other stuff that they were doing in it. So, that's kind of how it started. And we've set the price basically as low as we can go, because I know the education industry is fairly price sensitive. But for $18.95, really that's pretty affordable to sort of essentially create a virtual classroom. So we can still have a viable company at that price point. We don't really have money for a distribution network or dealers or sales people or things like that. So for now, we're really just relying on word of mouth. But we do ship. So the fellow who set up who's running the company day to day, one of our former students, he's got the website set up so you can do shipping anywhere in Canada. If more, let's say if someone in Fredericton wanted one, or maybe 2 or 3 people, he could probably consolidate that shipment and save a little bit of time. But if you're interested, you can email him just at info@lightboarddepot.com, and his name is Chris, and he could customize a delivery quote for you if someone's interested. That's it. Thank you very much. Well, Jade, I don't know what you're doing, on Wednesday and Friday nights, but I teach my night classes in those times. It'd be great to have you in the background as technical support during those classes.
That is one of my major strengths, is being a tech management type person and managing this sort of stuff. So, Michael, I wanted to thank you so much. It does look like we're out of time, and I don't want to hold you up too much, but thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us. It has been really insightful, and I think a lot of our viewers and a lot of people who will catch this later, I'm sure, are going to get a lot from your talk and about how to better engage with students and how to kind of adapt for the education system that we have coming forward, a lot faster than a lot of people thought were. So again,
So I thank you for helping me put all this together, and I know some of what I was doing really falls more into your area of expertise than instructors. So I think if people want to give this a try, it's great to know that you're also there, because I think you'd be a good person to answer some local questions.
And I'm always here to answer any questions anyone has. I dabbled a lot in a couple different technologies, so it was really cool for me to see something that I use for something else in my life to be used for an application such as education, which is very important to myself as well. So, Michael, thank you again. I just wanted to say thank you, and you have a great day, man. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to drag you out there, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks to everyone who attended.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. All right, and for everyone else, thank you for tuning in for today's RBC Lunch and Learn, presented here at the J. Herbert Smith Center, which is, I'm in currently my home office, but that's okay. It's the COVID life that we live in right now. Next week, please join us for Alicia Sharp, CEO of Upfront Cosmetics and an alumni of the Summer Institute, one of our accelerator programs. She's going to come in and share some of her experiences with us. So thank you all for watching, and please tune in next week.